The black Porsche Cayenne sliced through the darkness of South Bronx at 2:30 in the morning. Marcus Reed gripped the steering wheel with both hands, his knuckles white from exhaustion. 10 days in Chicago, 10 days of back-to-back meetings, contract negotiations, and corporate dinners that left him drained to his core. All he wanted now was to get home, to see his girls, to sleep in his own bed. The GPS on his dashboard flickered, then died. Marcus cursed under his breath. He'd taken a wrong turn somewhere near the Cross Bronx Expressway. Now he was deep in a neighborhood he didn't recognize. Buildings with broken windows loomed on either side. Graffiti covered every surface. The streetlights here were few and far between, casting long shadows that seemed to move with malicious intent. He needed to turn around, find his way back to the highway, get home to Scarsdale where his wife Nicole and his 3 daughters were surely fast asleep in their warm beds. Marcus spotted what looked like an alley up ahead. He'd use it to turn the car around, get his bearings, figure out where the hell he was. The Porsche's headlights swept across the alley as he turned in. The beams illuminated piles of garbage, overflowing dumpsters, broken bottles glittering like diamonds in the filth. Then the headlights caught something else, something that made Marcus's heart stop. 3 small figures huddled against the wall, next to an old dumpster that reeked of rotten decay. They were pressed together like animals seeking warmth, like they were trying to disappear into the bricks behind them. Marcus hit the brakes. The Porsche lurched to a stop. He sat frozen in his seat, staring at those 3 small shapes, his mind refusing to process what his eyes were seeing. Children. 3 children, in the middle of the night, in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in New York City. But something else made him open the car door. Something that sent ice water through his veins and made his hands shake as he stepped out into the cold night air. He recognized those clothes. Even torn and filthy as they were, he recognized them. The purple jacket, the pink sneakers, the blue dress with the unicorn pattern. Marcus walked toward the huddled figures. Each step felt like moving through water, like his body knew something his mind still refused to accept. 10 feet away, 8 feet, 6 feet. He could see their faces now, and the world tilted on its axis. Sophia, his voice came out as a whisper, barely a sound at all. The oldest girl's head lifted, slowly, like even that small movement required every ounce of strength she had left. Her eyes met his. Those eyes. He'd know them anywhere. He'd looked into those eyes every day for 7 years, since the moment she was born, since the first time she wrapped her tiny fingers around his thumb and looked up at him with complete trust. But now those eyes were hollow, sunken, surrounded by dark circles that made her look like a ghost. Sophia. Sophia. Marcus stumbled forward, fell to his knees in the filth and broken glass, reached for his daughter with shaking hands. She didn't move away, didn't flinch, just stared at him like she wasn't sure he was real. Daddy? The word was so soft, so broken, so filled with disbelief and hope and pain all mixed together. Yes, yes, baby. It's me. It's Daddy. Marcus pulled her into his arms, felt how light she was, how her bones pressed against his chest, how she trembled in his grip like a leaf in a storm. That's when he saw the other 2, Lily and Maya, his twin daughters, 5 years old, clutching each other in the shadows, their faces streaked with dirt and tears, their feet bare and bleeding. Oh God, oh my God. Marcus reached for them too, pulled all 3 girls into his arms, tried to cover them with his body, to warm them, to protect them from whatever nightmare they'd been living. Sophia's small hands clutched at his shirt. Her whole body shook with silent sobs. You came back. I knew you'd find us. I knew it. Marcus couldn't speak. His throat had closed up. His eyes burned with tears that spilled down his face and fell onto his daughter's matted hair. How were they here? Why were they here? Where was Nicole? Questions flooded his mind, but he pushed them aside. Nothing mattered right now except getting his girls to safety, getting them warm, getting them help. He fumbled for his phone with one hand while keeping the other arm wrapped around all 3 of them. His fingers shook so badly he could barely unlock the screen. 911. The call connected on the first ring. 911, what's your emergency? I need an ambulance, now. 3 children. My children. They're in bad shape, very bad shape. Sir, what's your location? Marcus looked around frantically. He had no idea where he was. Some nameless alley in South Bronx. How was he supposed to give them an address? I don't know. I don't know the address. South Bronx, near the Cross Bronx Expressway. Please, please send someone. Sir, I need you to stay calm. I'm tracking your cell phone location now. Can you tell me what's wrong with the children? Marcus looked down at his daughters, really looked at them for the first time. Sophia's feet were bleeding. Deep cuts covered her soles. Some looked infected, red and swollen and oozing. Her clothes hung off her frame. She'd lost weight, so much weight. Lily's lips were cracked and bleeding. Her eyes had a glazed, distant look, like she was seeing something far away that no one else could see. Maya was the worst. She lay limp in Marcus's arms. Her skin was hot to the touch. Fever, high fever. Her breathing came in short, shallow gasps. They're dehydrated, malnourished. One has a fever. Their feet are cut, infected. Please hurry. Please. An ambulance is on the way, sir. ETA 12 minutes. Stay on the line with me. 12 minutes. An eternity. Marcus pulled off his jacket, wrapped it around all three girls. It wasn't enough. They were so cold, shivering so hard their teeth chattered. Sophia, baby, what happened? Where's your mother? How did you get here? Sophia looked up at him. Her brown eyes were so tired, so old, like she'd aged years in the 10 days he'd been gone. Mommy left us. 3 words. That's all it took to shatter Marcus's world into pieces. What? She said we were going to Grandma's house. But Grandma died. 4 years ago, we told her. But she said we'd see Grandma anyway. Sophia's voice was flat, empty, like she was reciting facts that had nothing to do with her. She drove us here, to that building. Sophia pointed to a crumbling apartment complex across the street. She said Grandma was inside, on the 3rd floor. She told us to go find her. Then she drove away. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the gut. All the air left his lungs. His vision swam. Nicole, his wife, the mother of his children, had driven them here, to one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in New York, and abandoned them. When? When did this happen? I don't know, 7 days ago? 8? I lost count. 7 days. His daughters had been on the streets for 7 days, alone, scared, hungry, while he'd been in Chicago, closing deals, signing contracts, living in luxury hotels, while Nicole had been. What? Where was Nicole? Where did Mommy go? Did she say anything else? Sophia shook her head. She just left. We knocked on doors, looking for Grandma, but nobody knew her. One lady gave us food, Mrs. Rodriguez. She let us stay one night, but then she said she couldn't keep us. She was going to call someone, social services. I got scared. I didn't want them to split us up, so we left. Sophia's voice cracked on the last word. I had to keep Lily and Maya safe. I promised them Daddy would come back, that everything would be okay. Marcus pulled her closer. You did so good, baby. You were so brave, so strong. I'm here now. I've got you. In the distance, sirens wailed, getting closer. The ambulance arrived 8 minutes later. 2 paramedics jumped out. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a young man who looked barely out of training. The woman took one look at the 3 girls and her expression hardened. How long have they been out here? 7 days, maybe 8. I just found them. The woman's eyes met Marcus's. He saw the questions there, the suspicion, but she pushed it aside and focused on the children. Let's get them in the bus. We need to get fluids in them now. The paramedics moved with practiced efficiency, wrapped the girls in thermal blankets, started IV lines, checked vital signs. Marcus climbed into the ambulance behind them, held Sophia's hand as the doors closed and the vehicle lurched into motion. The hospital lights were too bright, too harsh. Marcus squinted against them as doctors and nurses swarmed around his daughters, hooking them up to monitors, taking blood samples, firing questions at him that he couldn't answer. Where had they been? What had they eaten? Had they been exposed to any chemicals? Any drugs? Any violence? He didn't know. He didn't know anything except that his daughters had been living on the streets for a week while he'd been gone. A doctor pulled him aside. Dr. David Park, young, serious, with the kind of face that had seen too much suffering. Mr. Reed, I need to be frank with you. Your daughters are in serious condition. Marcus's legs went weak. He grabbed the wall for support. How serious? Sophia has severe dehydration, about 15%. She's also malnourished and has multiple infections in her feet. Those cuts are deep. Some are showing signs of sepsis. We've started her on broad-spectrum antibiotics, Doctor. Park consulted his tablet. Lily is worse, 20% dehydration. That's approaching critical levels. Another day or two, and we might be looking at organ failure. We're pushing fluids, but we need to monitor her kidney function closely. Marcus felt bile rise in his throat. And Maya? Maya has pneumonia, early stages, but it's there. Combined with the dehydration and malnutrition, her immune system is severely compromised. She needs IV antibiotics immediately. The doctor looked at Marcus, really looked at him. Mr. Reed, I have to ask, where were these children for the past week? On the streets, in South Bronx, their mother, my wife. She abandoned them there. Dr. Park's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. I see. Well, I'm legally required to report this to Child Protective Services. They'll want to speak with you. I don't care what you have to do. Just save my daughters, please. We're doing everything we can. Marcus was allowed into the room where all three girls had been placed. They lay in adjacent beds, connected to IV drips and heart monitors. The steady beep, beep, beep was the only sound. Sophia was awake, staring at the ceiling. Marcus pulled a chair between all three beds, took Sophia's hand in his. I'm here, baby. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? I promise. When Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I was so scared. I thought we were going to die. Tell me what happened from the beginning. So Sophia told him, in a small, halting voice that broke Marcus's heart into smaller and smaller pieces. 10 days ago, the morning Marcus left for Chicago, Sophia had gotten up early. She always did when Marcus traveled. Wanted to see him before he left. Have breakfast together. Make him promise to come back soon. She'd gone downstairs and found her mother in the kitchen. But Nicole wasn't alone. There was a man there. A man Sophia had never seen before. Tall, muscular, with dark hair and eyes that made Sophia uncomfortable. Nicole had been kissing him. Sophia had frozen on the stairs, watching through the railings, while understanding what she was seeing but knowing somehow that it was wrong. Nicole had pulled away from the man, turned, seen Sophia standing there. For a moment their eyes had met, and Sophia had seen something in her mother's face that terrified her. Not guilt, not shame, but cold calculation. What did you see? Nicole's voice had been flat, emotionless. Sophia had run back to her room, closed the door, pressed her back against it with her heart hammering. Later that morning after Marcus left, Nicole came to the room Sophia shared with Lily and Maya. You three are staying in here today. But why, Mommy? Because I said so. Nicole had locked the door from the outside, left them there with nothing but a single sandwich and 2 bottles of water. Sophia had heard sounds from downstairs, strange men's voices, the sound of furniture being moved, trucks pulling up outside. She'd looked out the window, watched as men carried their television out of the house, the expensive leather couches, the paintings from the walls. What's Mommy doing? Lily had asked the question with wide, frightened eyes. I don't know. That night, Nicole brought them another sandwich. Didn't speak, just left the food and locked the door again. The next day was the same, and the next. On the third day, Nicole opened the door. Get in the car, all of you. Where are we going? To see your grandmother. Sophia had wanted to tell Nicole that Grandma was dead, that they'd been to her funeral 4 years ago, but something in Nicole's eyes stopped her. They'd driven for hours, out of their quiet neighborhood in Scarsdale, through Manhattan, into the Bronx, deeper and deeper into neighborhoods that grew progressively worse. Finally, Nicole stopped the car in front of a crumbling apartment building. Get out. The 3 girls climbed out, stood on the sidewalk, looked up at the building with its broken windows and graffiti-covered walls. Grandma's in there. 3rd floor. Go find her. Aren't you coming with us? Nicole looked at Lily. Her face was completely blank. No, I'm not. When will you pick us up? Nicole started the car. I won't. Before any of them could react, she pulled away from the curb, drove down the street, turned the corner, disappeared. Sophia stood there for a long moment, holding her sister's hands, watching the empty street, waiting for her mother to come back. But she never did. They'd gone into the building, knocked on doors on the third floor, asked for Elizabeth Reed, their grandmother. No one knew her. No one had ever heard of her. An older Puerto Rican woman, Mrs. Rodriguez, had taken pity on them, given them food, let them sleep on her couch that night. But the next morning, Mrs. Rodriguez had been honest. I can't keep you, mijijas. I barely have enough for myself. I will call the services. They will help you. Sophia had panicked. She'd heard stories about foster care, about siblings being separated, sent to different homes, never seeing each other again. So while Mrs. Rodriguez was in the bathroom, Sophia had grabbed her sister's hands and run. They'd spent the next 6 days on the streets. Sophia had never known cold like that, never known hunger that gnawed at her belly like a living thing. She'd found food in dumpsters, half-eaten burgers from McDonald's, pizza crusts, stale bread. She'd divided everything equally. Even when there was barely enough for one person, she'd made sure Lily and Maya each got a share. When a group of teenage boys had tried to take their spot under a highway overpass, Sophia had stood between them and her sisters. Let one of them punch her in the back rather than move. Eventually they'd left, said she wasn't worth the trouble. When Maya had gotten sick with fever, Sophia had begged outside a pharmacy until the pharmacist took pity on her, given her children's Tylenol, shown her how to read the dosage. Sophia had spent that whole night awake, giving Maya medicine every 4 hours, wiping her face with cool water, singing the lullabies their father used to sing. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. Every night, Lily would ask the same question. When is Daddy coming home? And every night, Sophia would give the same answer. Soon. He'll find us soon. I promise. She'd believed it too, deep in her heart. She'd known her father would come back, would find them somehow, would make everything okay again. And he had. Marcus listened to all of this with tears streaming down his face, unable to speak, unable to do anything but hold his daughter's hand and wish he could go back in time. Wish he'd never gone to Chicago. Wish he'd paid more attention. Wish he'd seen what Nicole really was. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Sophia squeezed his hand. It's not your fault, Daddy. You didn't know. I should have known. I should have been there. You're here now. That's what matters. Sophia's eyes were already closing, the medication and exhaustion pulling her under. Marcus sat there in the darkness, listening to his daughters breathe, watching their chests rise and fall, thanking God or fate or whatever force had made him take that wrong turn, had led him down that alley at exactly the right moment. 10 minutes earlier, and he might have missed them, driven right past, left them there to face another night alone. 10 minutes later, and he couldn't bear to think about it. His phone buzzed. Marcus pulled it out, looked at the screen. 23 missed calls, all from the same number. Nicole, his wife, the woman he'd trusted, the woman he'd built a life with, the woman who'd given birth to 2 of his children and helped him raise the 3rd, the woman who'd sold everything they owned, drained their bank accounts, and thrown their children away like garbage. Marcus's hand tightened around the phone. For a moment, he wanted to throw it against the wall, watch it shatter into pieces. But he didn't. Instead, he stood up, walked out into the hallway, dialed a different number. The police. A female officer arrived 30 minutes later. Detective Maria Santos, mid-40s, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Reed, I'm Detective Santos. I understand you want to report a crime? Marcus told her everything, about finding his daughters, about what Sophia had said, about Nicole disappearing. Detective Santos took notes, asked questions. Her expression grew darker with every answer. Do you know where your wife is now? No idea. She's been calling, but I haven't answered. Don't answer, not yet. We need to trace her location first. See if we can figure out where she's been. what she's been doing. She sold everything, our furniture, my watches, artwork worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. She drained our joint bank account. How much? $430,000. Detective Santos whistled low. That's a serious theft charge on top of the child endangerment. This isn't just abandonment, Mr. Reed. This is premeditated. She planned this. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Premeditated. Nicole had planned to abandon their children, had thought about it, prepared for it, executed it step by step. I want her arrested. I want her to pay for what she did. We'll do everything we can, but I have to warn you, if she's already fled the country, this gets complicated. She wouldn't, would she? Detective Santos looked at him with something like pity in her eyes. Mr. Reed, your wife stole nearly $2 million in cash and assets. Abandoned 3 children in a dangerous neighborhood. I'd say fleeing the country is definitely on the table. Marcus felt the floor tilt under his feet. He grabbed the wall for support. Detective Santos put a hand on his arm. Go be with your daughters. I'll start working this case. We'll find her. I promise you that. Marcus nodded, couldn't trust himself to speak. He went back into the hospital room, back to his daughters, pulled the chair close to Sophia's bed and took her hand again. She stirred, opened her eyes. Daddy? I'm here. Don't leave. Never. I'm never leaving you again. Sophia smiled, just a small curve of her lips, but it was the most beautiful thing Marcus had ever seen. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby. More than anything in this world. Outside the window, the sky was beginning to lighten. Dawn was coming. A new day. A day that Marcus would spend right here, watching over his daughters, protecting them, making sure they knew they were safe, that they were loved, that he would never let anyone hurt them again. The monitor beeped. Sophia's breathing evened out, sleep taking her once more. Marcus leaned back in his chair, exhausted but unable to sleep. His mind raced with questions, with plans, with rage at Nicole and at himself for not seeing this coming. But underneath it all was one simple truth, one fact that would guide every decision he made from this moment forward. His daughters were alive. He'd found them, and he would spend the rest of his life making sure they knew they were loved, wanted, cherished. Everything else could wait. Morning light filtered through the hospital blinds in harsh strips across the linoleum floor. Marcus hadn't moved from his chair, hadn't slept. His body ached from sitting in the same position for hours, but he couldn't bring himself to leave. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Sophia's hollow face in that alley. Heard her broken voice saying, "Mommy left us." A nurse came in to check the girl's vitals. Sarah Miller, 28 years old with kind eyes and gentle hands. She'd introduced herself during the night shift change, told Marcus she had a 6-year-old daughter at home, that she couldn't imagine what he was going through. How are they doing? Sarah checked Sophia's IV bag, adjusted the flow rate slightly. Better. Their vitals have stabilized. Sophia's fever broke around 4 a.m. Lily's kidney function is improving. Maya's still fighting the pneumonia, but she's responding well to the antibiotics. When can they go home? Dr. Park will want to keep them at least 3 more days, maybe longer for Maya. We need to make sure the infections are completely cleared. Marcus nodded. 3 days felt like an eternity, but he understood. His daughters needed proper medical care, professional monitoring, things he couldn't provide at home. Sarah finished her checks and moved toward the door. Then she paused. Mr. Reed, I don't know if this helps, but what your daughter did, taking care of her sisters like that for a whole week, that's extraordinary. She's an incredible kid. You should be proud. Marcus's throat tightened. I am. God, I am. After Sarah left, Marcus finally stood up, stretched his cramped muscles, walked to the window and looked out at the parking lot below. Cars coming and going, people starting their normal days, going to work, running errands, living lives that hadn't been shattered into pieces. His phone buzzed again. Marcus pulled it out. Another call from Nicole, the 37th since last night. He stared at her name on the screen, felt rage bubble up inside him, hot and toxic. Part of him wanted to answer, to scream at her, demand answers, ask her how she could do this to her own children. But Detective Santos had been clear. Don't engage. Not yet. Let them track her first. Marcus silenced the phone and shoved it back in his pocket. He needed to go home, take a shower, change clothes, get some essentials for the girls. But the thought of walking into that house made him sick. Knowing what Nicole had done there, how she'd planned this betrayal in the home they'd built together. A soft sound made him turn. Sophia was awake, watching him with those two old eyes. Hey, baby, how are you feeling? Thirsty. Marcus grabbed the water pitcher Sarah had left, poured a small cup, held it to Sophia's lips while she drank. Better? Sophia nodded, then looked at her sleeping sisters. Are they okay? They're going to be fine. The doctors say you're all doing much better. Relief flooded Sophia's face. The worry lines around her eyes eased slightly. I was so scared Maya was going to die. She was so hot, and she kept coughing. I didn't know what to do. Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, took her small hand in his. You did everything right. You kept her safe. You kept them both safe. You're the bravest person I know. Sophia looked down at their joined hands. Daddy, where's Mommy? The question hung in the air like a bomb waiting to explode. Marcus chose his words carefully. I don't know where she is right now, but the police are looking for her. Is she in trouble? Yes, she's in a lot of trouble. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. I saw her with that man before you left. They were kissing. Marcus's jaw clenched so hard his teeth ached. What did he look like? Tall, really tall, with big muscles like the men on TV who lift weights. He had dark hair, and he scared me. I don't know why, but he did. Marcus filed this information away. A man. Nicole had been with another man. Was he part of this? Had they planned it together? Did you ever see him again after that first time? Sophia shook her head. No, but I heard his voice. When Mommy locked us in the room, I heard them talking downstairs. About money, about selling things, about going somewhere warm. Mexico, the word flashed through Marcus's mind. Detective Santos had mentioned it last night. People fleeing with stolen money often went to Mexico or Central America, somewhere without extradition treaties. You're being very brave talking about this. I know it's hard. I want her to get in trouble. Is that bad? Is it bad that I want my own mother to go to jail? Sophia's voice cracked on the last word. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Marcus pulled her into his arms, let her cry against his chest. No, baby, it's not bad. You have every right to feel angry. What she did was wrong, so wrong, and she needs to face consequences for it. But she's my mom. I'm supposed to love her, right? You can love someone and still be angry at them. You can love someone and still want them to face justice for hurting you. Those feelings can exist at the same time. Sophia pulled back, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I don't think I love her anymore. Is that okay? Marcus's heart broke all over again. That's okay too. You get to feel however you feel. There's no right or wrong way to handle this. A knock at the door interrupted them. Detective Santos entered. She looked tired, like she'd been up all night too. Mr. Reed, Miss Sophia, I hope I'm not interrupting. No, come in. Detective Santos pulled up a chair. She had a tablet in her hands and a grim expression on her face. I've been working through the night on your case. I have some updates. Some of them aren't good. Marcus braced himself. Tell me. First, the financial trail. Your wife withdrew $430,000 from your joint account over a 3-day period. She did it in increments, 20,000 here, 50,000 there, small enough not to trigger automatic fraud alerts, but large enough to drain the account quickly. Marcus felt sick. What about the items she sold, the furniture, the art? We tracked down several buyers. The Sotheby's auction house confirmed they purchased a Van Gogh painting from your home for $850,000. Cash transaction. No questions asked because your wife had documentation proving ownership. That painting was worth more than that. She was in a hurry, sold everything below market value for quick cash. We've also found evidence of other sales. Jewelry, watches, your Porsche 911. The hits kept coming. Marcus tried to process the numbers. Nearly $2 million. Gone. Stolen by his own wife. There's more. We traced your wife's cell phone. Last ping was at JFK Airport, 8 days ago, the day after she abandoned the girls. She flew out of the country? We pulled passenger manifests. Nicole Reed and Tyler Brooks. 2 tickets on United Airlines. Destination Cancun, Mexico. Tyler Brooks. The name meant nothing to Marcus. Who the hell is Tyler Brooks? Detective Santos swiped on her tablet, turned it to show Marcus a photo. A man, mid to late 30s, muscular build, dark hair, hard eyes. Marcus looked at Sophia. Is this the man you saw? Sophia leaned forward, studied the photo, then nodded slowly. That's him. Detective Santos made a note. Tyler Brooks, 38 years old, personal trainer at a gym called Fit Zone in White Plains. Your wife was a member there for the past 10 months. 10 months. Nicole had been planning this for 10 months, maybe longer. Have you contacted Mexican authorities? Yes, we've filed for extradition, but it's complicated. Mexico doesn't have to comply. And even if they do, it takes time. Weeks, sometimes months. So she just gets away with it? She abandons our children to die on the streets, and she gets to live it up in Cancun? Marcus's voice rose. Sophia flinched. Detective Santos held up a hand. I didn't say she gets away with it. I said it's complicated. We're working every angle, but I need you to be patient. These things take time. Marcus forced himself to calm down. Getting angry wouldn't help, wouldn't bring Nicole to justice any faster. What can I do? For now, take care of your daughters. Let them heal. We'll handle the investigation. But Mr. Reed, I need to ask, did you have any idea your wife was unhappy? Any warning signs? Marcus thought back, tried to remember the months before he left for Chicago. Had Nicole seemed different, distant? She was, quiet, more than usual. I thought she was just tired, stressed. Being a mother to 3 young kids is exhausting. I thought she needed a break, some time to herself. Did she ever talk about leaving, about wanting a different life? No, never. She seemed content, or at least I thought she did. Detective Santos wrote something down. What about her past? Do you know much about her life before you met? Some. She grew up in Kentucky, had a rough childhood. Father was an alcoholic. Mother left when she was young. She moved to New York when she was 16, worked as a model. We met at a charity gala 8 years ago. Did you ever meet her family? Any of them? Marcus shook his head. She said she wasn't in contact with them, that she'd left that life behind and didn't want to go back. I see. Something in Detective Santos's tone made Marcus uneasy. What? What did you find? I ran a background check. Standard procedure. Mr. Reed, your wife lied to you about her identity. The room tilted. What? Her real name isn't Nicole Reed. It's Nicole Carter. She changed it legally 7 years ago, right before she married you. People change their names. That doesn't mean anything. No, but this does. Detective Santos swiped through her tablet, pulled up more information. Nicole Carter has a record, not criminal, but civil. She was sued twice, once by a man named David Chen. He claims she stole $50,000 from him during their relationship. The case was settled out of court. When was this? 6 years ago, a year before she met you. In the second lawsuit, Robert Kim, 3 years ago, similar situation. They were engaged. She took an $80,000 engagement ring, called off the wedding, sold the ring. He sued. That case was also settled. Marcus felt like the ground had dropped out from under him. She's done this before. It appears so, Mr. Reed. I think your wife is what we call a romance scammer. She targets wealthy men, gains their trust, takes what she can, then disappears. But we were married for 8 years. She had children with me. That's different than dating someone for a few months and stealing from them. Is it? Think about it. She married you, had access to your money, your assets, your home. She spent 8 years setting this up, making sure she could pay as much as possible when she finally decided to leave. The words hit Marcus like physical blows. 8 years. 8 years of lies, of manipulation, of Nicole pretending to love him, to love their children. Had any of it been real? What about Lily and Maya? They're her biological daughters. How could she just abandon them? I don't have an answer for that. Some people are capable of compartmentalizing in ways that seem impossible to the rest of us. She may have seen them as obstacles, burdens keeping her from the life she wanted. Sophia had been listening to all of this in silence. Now she spoke up, her voice small but clear. She told us she never wanted to be a mother. Both adults turned to look at her. When? The day she left us, in the car. Lily asked why we couldn't come with her. Mommy said, I never wanted children. You were all mistakes, accidents that ruined my life. Sophia's voice wavered, but she kept going. She said, I gave you 7 years. That's more than you deserved. Now I'm taking back my life. Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. He reached for Sophia's hand. She was wrong, you hear me? You are not a mistake. None of you are mistakes. You are wanted. You are loved. You are the best things that ever happened to me. Sophia nodded, but Marcus could see the doubt in her eyes, the damage Nicole's words had done. Detective Santos cleared her throat. I'll let you two have some privacy. Mr. Reed, I'll be in touch as soon as we have more information. In the meantime, the hospital has a social worker who specializes in family trauma. I'd recommend talking to her. Your daughters are going to need therapy, professional help to process what they've been through. Whatever they need, money's no object. Good. That's good. After Detective Santos left, Marcus sat with Sophia in silence. His mind raced, trying to process everything he'd just learned. Trying to figure out how he'd been so blind, so stupid. 8 years. He'd given Nicole 8 years of his life, trusted her with his children, with his home, with his heart, and she'd been planning to betray him the whole time. Daddy? Yeah, baby? Are you mad at yourself? The question surprised him. What do you mean? You look sad and angry, but not at Mommy, at yourself. Marcus sighed. Sophia was too perceptive, too smart. I feel like I should have seen this coming, should have protected you better. It's not your fault. Mommy lied to everyone. You can't blame yourself for believing someone you loved. Wisdom from a 7-year-old. It made Marcus want to cry all over again. When did you get so smart? I had a lot of time to think, on the street, when Lily and Maya were sleeping. I'd stay awake and think about everything, about why Mommy did what she did, about whether it was our fault. And what did you decide? That it wasn't. We were just kids. We didn't do anything wrong. Mommy's the one who made bad choices, not us. Marcus pulled Sophia into a hug. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to make sure you and your sisters never forget that. This wasn't your fault. Any of it. The day passed slowly. Lily woke up around noon, confused and disoriented at first, then relieved when she saw Marcus and Sophia. Maya slept most of the day, fighting off the pneumonia, breathing easier as the antibiotics did their work. Marcus left the hospital only once, drove home to Scarsdale in the middle of the afternoon, needed to see the damage for himself, needed to pack bags for the girls, get them some clean clothes and familiar items. The house looked the same from the outside. Beautiful, expensive, perfect. But inside was a different story. The living room was stripped bare. No furniture, no decorations, holes in the walls where paintings had hung, lighter squares on the hardwood where rugs had been. The kitchen was the same. Half the appliances gone, the expensive espresso machine Nicole had insisted they needed, the KitchenAid mixer, even the good knives. Upstairs was worse. Their bedroom closet was empty on Nicole's side. Every piece of clothing gone, every shoe, every bag. But it was the girls' room that broke him. Toys scattered everywhere, like they'd been dumped out in a hurry, clothes pulled from drawers and left in piles, beds unmade, signs of the chaos of that last morning. When Nicole had locked them in here, left them trapped while she sold everything they owned. Marcus moved through the room mechanically, packed bags for each girl, their favorite stuffed animals, clean clothes, books, the framed photo from Marcus's nightstand, the one of all 5 of them at the beach last summer, before everything fell apart. He paused, looking at that photo. Nicole was smiling, her arm around Sophia, looking for all the world like a happy mother, a woman who loved her family. Had it all been an act? Every smile, every hug, every time she'd said, I love you. Marcus put the photo in his bag. The girls might want it someday, or they might want to burn it. Either way, the choice should be theirs. He was loading bags into his car when a neighbor approached. Mrs. Johnson, an elderly woman who'd lived next door for 30 years. Marcus! Oh, thank goodness. I've been so worried. I saw all those men taking things from your house. I tried calling Nicole, but she didn't answer. Is everything all right? Marcus didn't have the energy to explain, to relive it all again. It's complicated, Mrs. Johnson, but the girls are safe. That's what matters. The girls? Where were they? I haven't seen them in over a week. They were, away, but they're back now. They're in the hospital, just for observation. They're going to be fine. Mrs. Johnson's eyes narrowed. Marcus Reed, you're a terrible liar. What really happened? Something about her directness, her genuine concern, made Marcus crack. Nicole left us, abandoned the girls, stole everything and ran off to Mexico with some man. Mrs. Johnson's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, those poor babies. Are they really okay? They will be, eventually. It's going to take time. If there's anything I can do, anything at all, I'm here. I can cook meals, help with the girls when they come home, whatever you need. Marcus felt gratitude wash over him. Thank you, that means a lot. He drove back to the hospital, carried the bags up to the girls' room. Sophia's face lit up when she saw her stuffed elephant, the one she'd had since she was 2. Lily immediately asked for her coloring books. Maya just hugged her blanket and went back to sleep. Small comforts, but important ones. That night, after the girls were all asleep, Marcus's phone rang. Detective Santos. Mr. Reed, we've located your wife. Marcus's heart jumped into his throat. Where? Cancun. She and Tyler Brooks checked into a resort 3 days ago. The Paradisus Playa del Carmen. 5-star, ocean view suite. They've been living it up, charging everything to a credit card in your name. Of course, one more theft, one more betrayal. Can you arrest her? Mexican federal police are coordinating with us. They're going to pick her up tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. local time, then starts the extradition process. How long? Could be 2 weeks, could be 2 months. Depends on a lot of factors. But Mr. Reed, she's not getting away. We have her. It's just a matter of time now. Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. Relief, vindication, the beginning of justice. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet. We still have a long way to go, but we're on the right track. After he hung up, Marcus sat in the darkness of the hospital room, listening to his daughters breathe, watching their small forms rise and fall under thin blankets. Tomorrow, Nicole would be arrested, would face consequences for what she'd done. It wasn't enough, could never be enough to make up for the trauma she'd inflicted on these innocent children. But it was a start. Marcus pulled his chair closer to Sophia's bed, took her hand in his, made a silent promise to his sleeping daughters. He would be there for them. Every day, every moment, he would put them first. Always, would make sure they knew they were loved, valued, wanted. He would be the parent Nicole never was. And somehow, together, they would heal from this. Build a new life, a better life, a life where his daughters felt safe. The monitor beeped softly. A nurse did her rounds, changed IV bags, checked vitals, gave Marcus a sympathetic smile before moving on. Dawn was still hours away, but Marcus could feel it coming. A new day, a new beginning. He closed his eyes, not to sleep, but to pray, to whatever force had led him down that alley at exactly the right moment. Thank you. Thank you for bringing me to them and for giving me a chance to make this right. He opened his eyes, looked at his daughters, his girls, his everything. I've got you now. I promise. You're safe, you're loved, and I'm never letting go. Outside, the city hummed with life. Cars passed on the street below. Sirens wailed in the distance. The world kept turning. But in this room, time stood still. A father and his daughters, together. Finally, it was enough. For now, it was enough. The call came at 6:15 in the morning. Marcus had been awake for an hour already, sitting in the pale light of dawn, watching his daughters sleep. Sophia had finally stopped having nightmares around 3 a.m. Maya's breathing had evened out, the pneumonia slowly releasing its grip. Lily had asked for water twice during the night, each time her voice stronger than before. Detective Santos's voice was crisp, professional, but Marcus could hear the satisfaction underneath. "We got her." Marcus stood up, walked out into the hallway so he wouldn't wake the girls. "Tell me everything." Mexican federal police executed the arrest at 6:03 a.m. local time. They entered the hotel room with a warrant, found Nicole and Tyler Brooks in bed. Both were taken into custody without incident. What happens now? They're being held at a detention center in Cancun. The extradition paperwork has been filed. Mexico has 72 hours to respond. If they approve, and they will, your wife will be on a plane back to New York within a week. Marcus leaned against the wall, felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. And Tyler Brooks? He's being charged as an accomplice, conspiracy to commit theft, child endangerment. He's looking at significant prison time. Good. There's something else. When they searched the hotel room, they found bush, a lot of it. Nearly $1.3 million hidden in suitcases. They also recovered jewelry, watches, other items we believe were stolen from your home. 1.3 million, not all of it, but most of it, more than Marcus had dared hope they'd recover. What about the rest? Likely spent or transferred somewhere we haven't found yet. But this is a good haul. Your insurance company will be pleased. After Detective Santos hung up, Marcus stood in the empty hallway for a long moment. He should feel victorious, relieved. Nicole had been caught, would face justice. His daughters would get some measure of closure. But all he felt was tired, bone-deep exhaustion that went beyond lack of sleep. 8 years of his life had been a lie. 8 years of trusting someone who'd been planning to betray him from the start. How did someone recover from that? How did he teach his daughters to trust again when their own mother had proven that even the people who were supposed to love you most could turn into monsters? "Daddy?" Marcus turned. Sophia stood in the doorway, still wearing the hospital gown, still too thin, but her eyes were clearer than they'd been yesterday. "Hey, baby, what are you doing up? I heard you talking. Is it about Mommy?" Marcus nodded. No point in lying. Sophia deserved the truth. They arrested her in Mexico. She's coming back to face charges. Sophia's expression didn't change. Good. The word was flat, empty of emotion, like she was talking about the weather instead of her own mother. "How do you feel about that?" Sophia shrugged. "I don't know. I thought I'd feel happy or relieved, but I just feel nothing." Marcus pulled her into a hug. "That's okay. You don't have to feel anything you don't want to feel. This is all really complicated." "Will we have to see her at the trial or whatever?" "Probably. The prosecutor will likely want you to testify, to tell the court what happened." Sophia pulled back. Fear flickered across her face. "I don't want to see her." "I know, but you're the best witness. You're the one who kept track of everything, who remembered the details. Your testimony could help make sure she gets punished for what she did." "What if I can't do it? What if I freeze up or forget things or start crying?" "Then you start crying. There's no shame in that. You're allowed to have feelings. The judge will understand. Everyone will understand." Sophia chewed her bottom lip, a habit she'd had since she was 3. "Okay, I'll do it for Lily and Maya so they don't have to." Pride swelled in Marcus's chest. "You're so brave. You know that?" "I don't feel brave." "Brave people never do." 3 days later, the girls were discharged from the hospital. Dr. Park gave them detailed instructions, medications for Sophia's infections, an inhaler for Maya's lingering cough, follow-up appointments for all 3. Marcus drove them to a hotel. He couldn't take them back to the house in Scarsdale. Not yet. That place held too many bad memories, too many ghosts. Instead, he checked them into a suite at the Westchester Marriott. 2 bedrooms, a living area with a pull-out couch, room service, a pool the girls could use once they were feeling better. It wasn't home, but it was safe. And right now, safe was all that mattered. The first few nights were rough. All 3 girls had nightmares. Sophia woke up screaming at least twice a night, crying out for her sisters, for Marcus. reliving those 7 days on the street in fragmented dreams that left her shaking and covered in sweat. Lily wet the bed, something she hadn't done in 3 years. She was mortified, tried to hide it. But Marcus found her at 2 in the morning, stripping the sheets, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Hey, it's okay. Accidents happen. But I'm too old. I'm a big girl. Marcus knelt down, took her hands. Your body went through something really hard, really scary. Sometimes when that happens, our bodies react in ways we can't control. There's nothing to be ashamed of. What if it happens again? Then we change the sheets and move on. No big deal. Maya was the quietest. She barely spoke, just clung to Marcus whenever he was in the room, followed him from the bedroom to the bathroom, from the living room to the kitchenette, like she was afraid he'd disappear if she let him out of her sight. Marcus enrolled them in therapy. Dr. Linda Chen, a child psychologist who specialized in trauma. She had kind eyes and a gentle voice, an office filled with toys and art supplies and books. The first session was just Sophia. She sat on Dr. Chen's couch, picking at a loose thread on her shirt, not making eye contact. Your dad tells me you've been through something really difficult. Sophia nodded. Do you want to talk about it? Not really. That's okay. We don't have to talk about it today. We can talk about anything you want. Or we can just sit here in silence. Whatever makes you comfortable. Sophia looked up, surprised. Really? Really, this is your time, your space. You are in control here. Something in Sophia's shoulders relaxed. Can I draw? Of course. Dr. Chen set up an easel with a large pad of paper, gave Sophia markers and crayons and colored pencils. Sophia drew for 40 minutes. Dr. Chen sat nearby, not watching, not commenting, just present. When the session ended, Sophia showed Marcus her drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands, standing in front of a house. The sun was shining. Flowers grew in the yard. But in the corner, barely visible, was a 4th figure, turned away, walking toward the edge of the page. Marcus didn't need to ask who that was. 2 weeks after the arrest, Nicole was extradited back to New York. She arrived at JFK Airport in handcuffs, flanked by 2 federal marshals. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions. Mrs. Reed, why did you abandon your children? Do you have any comment? How do you plead? Nicole kept her head down, a jacket pulled over her face, refusing to acknowledge the chaos around her. She was processed at the Manhattan Criminal Court, fingerprinted, photographed, her personal items cataloged and stored. Then she was brought before Judge Elizabeth Morrison for arraignment. Marcus sat in the courtroom, front row. He wanted Nicole to see him, wanted her to know he was there, that she hadn't broken him. Nicole was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, no makeup, dark circles under her eyes. She looked small, diminished. Nothing like the confident woman who'd smiled and laughed and pretended to love him for 8 years. The prosecutor stood. Amanda Pierce, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper mind. She'd built her career on cases like this. Mothers who harmed their children. People who betrayed the sacred trust of family. Your Honor, the people are charging the defendant, Nicole Reed, with 3 counts of child endangerment in the first degree, 3 counts of reckless endangerment, grand larceny in the first degree, criminal possession of stolen property, and fraud in the first degree. Judge Morrison looked at the paperwork. These are serious charges, Ms. Pierce. They are, Your Honor. The defendant systematically planned and executed the abandonment of 3 minor children in a dangerous neighborhood. She then fled the country with nearly $2 million in stolen assets. Those children were found 7 days later, severely dehydrated, malnourished, one with pneumonia. Medical experts have stated that another 24 to 48 hours without intervention could have resulted in death. The words hung in the courtroom. Heavy, damning. Judge Morrison looked at Nicole. How does the defendant plead? Nicole's lawyer stood, Richard Bloom, expensive, connected. The kind of defense attorney who could make juries doubt video evidence. Not guilty, Your Honor. Bail? Amanda Pierce didn't hesitate. The people request remand, Your Honor. The defendant is a demonstrated flight risk. She fled to Mexico once. She has access to significant financial resources, and she has shown a complete disregard for the well-being of her own children. There is no bail condition that would ensure her appearance at trial. Richard Bloom objected. Your Honor, my client voluntarily returned to face these charges. She was extradited by federal marshals after she was illegally detained in Mexico. The detention was entirely legal, and you know it, Mr. Bloom. Judge Morrison held up a hand. Enough, I've heard the arguments. The defendant is remanded without bail pending trial. Next court date is set for 30 days from today. The gavel came down. Final, absolute. Nicole was let out. But before the bailiffs could move her through the door, she stopped, turned back. Her eyes found Marcus in the crowd. The bailiffs tried to move her along, but she resisted. Just for a moment. This is your fault. Her voice cut through the murmur of the courtroom. People fell silent. You were never there, always working, always traveling. You made me this way. You drove me to this. Marcus stood up slowly, walked to the railing that separated the gallery from the court, looked Nicole directly in the eyes. His voice was calm, steady, final. No, Nicole, I made mistakes. I worked too much. I wasn't present enough. I own that. But you made choices. You chose to lie. You chose to steal. You chose to abandon 3 innocent children in a dangerous neighborhood and hope they'd die. Those were your choices, not mine. And now you'll live with the consequences. Nicole's face twisted, the mask finally slipping completely. All that was left was hatred, or unadulterated hatred. I hope you rot thinking about what you did to them, what you tried to do to them. Marcus's voice was still calm, but everyone in the courtroom could hear the steel underneath. They're going to be fine. They're going to be happy. They're going to grow up knowing they're loved. And you'll be in a cell, alone, with nothing but your choices for company. Nicole tried to lunge forward, but the bailiffs grabbed her, held her back. I'll get out. I'll appeal. I'll find a way. No, you won't. You lost, completely. And my daughters will never have to see you again. The bailiffs dragged Nicole toward the door. She was screaming now, all composure gone. The carefully constructed facade shattered into 1,000 pieces. Marcus watched until she disappeared through the door, listened as her screams faded down the hallway. Then he sat down, took a deep breath, and smiled. It was over. Finally, truly over. Nicole was let out. As she passed Marcus, she turned. Their eyes met for just a second. Marcus saw no remorse there, no guilt, no recognition that she'd done anything wrong. Just cold calculation, like she was already planning her next move. The trial began 3 months later. Manhattan Supreme Court, courtroom 307. High ceilings and dark wood paneling. The kind of room where lives were decided, futures determined, justice hopefully served. Jury selection took a week. 12 people, 7 women, 5 men, disadvantaged ranging from 26 to 68. Each one questioned extensively, asked about their views on motherhood, on family, on what constitutes criminal negligence versus unfortunate circumstance. Marcus watched from the gallery. He'd hired a nanny for the trial, Mrs. Chen. No relation to Dr. Chen, but equally kind. She stayed with the girls at the hotel, kept them occupied, protected them from the media circus that had erupted around the case. Mother abandons 3 daughters to die. Millionaire's wife steals fortune, leaves children in Bronx. The most evil woman in America? The headlines got more sensational by the day. Marcus stopped reading them, stopped watching the news. It didn't matter what strangers thought, only what the jury decided. Opening statements began on a Monday morning. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, court watchers, people who followed high-profile cases like sports fans followed their teams. Amanda Pierce approached the jury box. She wore a navy suit, pearl earrings, her hair pulled back in a severe bun, every inch the serious prosecutor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, over the next several weeks, you're going to hear a story about betrayal, about greed, about a woman who valued money more than the lives of her own children. She paused. Let that sink in. The evidence will show that Nicole Reed systematically planned the abandonment of 3 minor children. Sophia Reed, 7 years old. Lily Reed, 5 years old. Maya Reed, 5 years old. She waited until her husband was out of town on business. Then she locked those children in a room for 3 days, giving them minimal food and water, while she sold everything the family owned: furniture, artwork, jewelry, nearly $2 million worth of assets. Amanda Pierce walked along the jury box, making eye contact with each juror. Then on the third day, she drove those children to South Bronx, one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in New York City. She told them their grandmother, who had been dead for 4 years, was waiting for them in an abandoned building. And then she drove away, left them there, three small children, alone in the middle of the day, in a place where they knew no one, had no resources, no way to contact help. One of the female jurors wiped her eyes. Those children spent 7 days on the street. 7 days, sleeping in alleys, eating from garbage cans. Sophia, the oldest, kept her sisters alive through sheer force of will. She found them food, protected them from danger, stayed awake at night to keep watch, all while their mother was in Cancun, living in a 5-star resort, drinking cocktails by the pool, spending the money she'd stolen. Amanda Pierce turned to look at Nicole. The evidence will show beyond any reasonable doubt that Nicole Reed committed these crimes, that she planned them carefully, executed them ruthlessly, and showed no remorse. None. When police found her in Mexico, she didn't ask about her children, didn't express concern for their welfare. She only asked about her lawyer. She turned back to the jury. At the end of this trial, I will ask you to find Nicole Reed guilty on all counts, because the evidence will show that she is guilty, and because those three little girls deserve justice. Richard Bloom's opening statement was predictable. He painted Nicole as a victim, a woman suffering from severe postpartum depression, a condition that went undiagnosed and untreated for years. A woman who had a mental break, didn't know what she was doing, wasn't in control of her actions. My client is not a monster. She's a sick woman who needs help, not punishment. Marcus wanted to stand up, to shout, to call out the lies, but he stayed seated, hands clenched in his lap, trusting the process, trusting Amanda Pierce to tear apart this ridiculous defense. The prosecution's case was methodical, witness after witness, building a picture of premeditation, of planning, of a woman in complete control of her faculties. Mrs. Johnson testified about seeing men remove furniture from the house, about Nicole directing them, clearly in charge. The Sotheby's representative testified about the art sale, how Nicole had all the proper documentation, how she negotiated the price, showed no signs of mental distress or confusion. Bank representatives testified about the withdrawals, how Nicole made them over several days, in amounts designed to avoid triggering fraud alerts. Tyler Brooks took the stand on day 7. He'd made a deal, his testimony in exchange for a reduced sentence, 8 years instead of 20. He looked nervous, kept glancing at Nicole. She stared at him with hatred in her eyes. "Mr. Brooks, how did you meet the defendant?" "At the gym, Fit Zone in White Plains. I was her personal trainer." "When did your relationship become romantic?" "About 10 months before all this happened." "Did the defendant ever discuss her marriage with you?" "Yeah, she said her husband was never home, that he cared more about work than family, that she felt trapped." "Did she discuss leaving him?" "All the time. She said she wanted out, wanted to start over somewhere else, somewhere warm." "Did you discuss finances?" Tyler shifted in his seat. "She showed me bank statements, told me how much her husband was worth, said she deserved half of it for putting up with him for so long." "Did you help her plan the theft?" Yeah, I did. She asked me to help sell stuff, to find buyers, to set up the trip to Mexico." "Did you know about her plan to abandon her children?" Tyler looked down. "She told me she was putting them with family, that they'd be taken care of. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know she was going to just leave them on the street." "But you knew she was leaving them behind?" "Yes." "And you didn't try to stop her?" "No." "Did you ask what would happen to the children?" "Once she said they'd be fine, that kids are resilient, that they'd probably be better off without her anyway." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Did the defendant seem distressed when she said this? Upset? Like she was having a mental health crisis? No, she was calm, matter of fact, like she was talking about getting rid of old furniture. Amanda Pierce let that statement hang in the air. No further questions. On day 9, Sophia took the stand. Marcus had been dreading this moment. Sophia had been nervous for days, barely eating, having nightmares again. Dr. Chen had prepped her, explained what would happen, but nothing could really prepare a 7-year-old for this. Sophia wore a white dress, her hair in a neat ponytail. She looked so small in the witness box, so vulnerable. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Sophia, do you understand why you're here today? Yes, ma'am. And now you promise to tell the truth? Yes, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Pierce is going to ask you some questions. If you need a break at any time, you just let me know, all right? All right, Amanda Pierce approached gently. Her whole demeanor had softened. Sophia, can you tell the jury your name and how old you are? My name is Sophia Reed. I'm 7 years old. And do you go to school? Yes, 2nd grade. Do you like school? Yes, I like reading best. Simple questions, easy ones. Getting Sophia comfortable before moving to the hard parts. Sophia, do you see your mother in this courtroom? Sophia's eyes flicked to Nicole, then away, fast. Yes. Can you point to her? Sophia raised a shaking hand, pointed at Nicole. Let the record show the witness has identified the defendant. Sophia, I need to ask you about something difficult, about what happened last spring. Can you do that? Sophia nodded. I need you to say yes or no out loud, sweetie, for the court reporter. Yes, I can do that. Okay. Can you tell the jury what happened the morning your father left for his trip? Sophia took a deep breath. Marcus could see her gathering her courage. I woke up early. I wanted to have breakfast with Daddy before he left. I went downstairs and I saw Mommy with a man I didn't know. They were kissing. What did you do? I went back upstairs. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. Did you tell your father? No, Mommy told me not to, later. After Daddy left, she said if I told, something bad would happen. Then what happened? She locked us in our room, me and Lily and Maya. She said we had to stay there. She only gave us food once a day, bread and water mostly. Sophia's voice was getting smaller, quieter. How many days were you locked in that room? 3 days. Then what happened? Mommy came and got us. She said we were going to see Grandma, but Grandma died 4 years ago. I tried to tell her, but she said we'd see Grandma anyway. Where did your mother take you? To the Bronx, to a big building with broken windows. She said Grandma was inside. She told us to go find her. Did you? We tried, we knocked on doors, but nobody knew Grandma, nobody had heard of her. What did you do then? We stayed on the street. I took care of Lily and Maya. I found food. I kept us safe. For how long? 7 days, until Daddy found us. Amanda Pierce paused. Let the jury absorb that. Sophia, during those 7 days, how did you get food? From trash cans, mostly. Sometimes people gave us food. There was a nice lady, Mrs. Rodriguez. She let us sleep at her apartment one night. Were you scared? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Yes, I was really scared, especially when Maya got sick. She had a fever and I didn't know what to do. But you took care of her. I tried, I found medicine, I stayed up with her, I sang to her. You're very brave. Sophia shook her head. I didn't feel brave, I had to protect my sisters. I promised them Daddy would find us. I couldn't let them down. Several jurors were crying now. Sophia, did your mother ever tell you why she was leaving you there? She said she never wanted children, that we were mistakes, that we ruined her life. She said she was taking her life back. The courtroom was silent, absolutely silent. No further questions. Tyler Brooks was processed separately after his testimony. His lawyer had negotiated the deal. 8 years in federal prison in exchange for full cooperation. No trial, just a guilty plea and sentencing. Marcus attended that hearing too. Sat in the back, watched Tyler stand before a different judge. Watched him mumble apologies that meant nothing. The judge was unimpressed. Mr. Brooks, you helped plan the abandonment of 3 children. You knew they were being left behind. You did nothing to stop it. You participated in the theft of nearly $2 million. The only reason you're not facing 20 years is because you testified. But make no mistake, you are not a victim here. You are a predator who preyed on a family for financial gain. 8 years. Federal prison. Marcus watched them lead Tyler away. He felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Tyler was just a tool. A weak man who'd let greed override any shred of decency. Nicole was the architect. Tyler was just the hammer she'd used. Marcus left the courthouse that day and never thought about Tyler Brooks again. The man wasn't worth the mental energy. Richard Bloom stood for cross-examination, but he was smart enough to keep it brief. Sophia, you love your father very much, don't you? Yes. And you'd do anything to help him? I guess. Is it possible your memory of events is confused? That you're remembering things the way your father wants you to remember them? Sophia's face hardened. Even at 7, she knew what he was implying. No, I remember everything, every day, every night, everything Mommy said. I'll never forget it. Her voice was strong now, clear, certain. Richard Bloom wisely sat down. No further questions. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The defense called psychiatrists who testified about postpartum depression, about psychotic breaks, about women who dissociate and do things they'd never normally do. But Amanda Pierce dismantled each argument, showed the planning, the premeditation, the cold calculation in every step Nicole took. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Marcus spent that time in a courthouse cafeteria, drinking bad coffee, unable to eat, unable to think about anything except what would happen if Nicole was acquitted. She wouldn't be. She couldn't be. The evidence was overwhelming, but juries were unpredictable, and reasonable doubt could creep in through the smallest cracks. At 4:30 in the afternoon, word came. The jury had reached a verdict. Marcus rushed back to the courtroom, found his seat, watched as Nicole was brought in. She looked calm, almost bored, like this was all a minor inconvenience. The jury filed in. Marcus tried to read their faces, tried to guess which way they'd gone, but they all looked straight ahead, professional, neutral. Judge Morrison addressed the foreman. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the charge of child endangerment in the first degree, as to Sophia Reed, how do you find? Guilty. The word echoed through the courtroom. On the charge of child endangerment in the first degree, as to Lily Reed, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of child endangerment in the first degree, as to Maya Reed, how do you find? Guilty. They went through all the charges. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Every single one. Nicole's face didn't change. She stared straight ahead, showing nothing. But Marcus saw Richard Bloom lean over, whisper something in her ear, saw Nicole's jaw clench just slightly. She'd lost. Completely. Utterly. No way out now. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The courtroom was packed again. Everyone wanted to see what punishment Nicole would receive. Judge Morrison had clearly given this a lot of thought. She'd reviewed pre-sentencing reports, read victim impact statements, consulted precedent. Nicole Reed, you have been found guilty of multiple serious felonies, crimes against your own children, the most vulnerable members of our society, those who trusted you, depended on you, loved you. Judge Morrison's voice was hard, cold. The evidence showed that you planned these crimes carefully. You waited until your husband was away. You systematically stole nearly $2 million. You locked your children in a room for 3 days with minimal food and water. Then you abandoned them in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in this city. You left them to die, make no mistake. That was your intent. You hoped they would die so there would be no witnesses, no one to tell what you'd done. Nicole's lawyer started to object, but Judge Morrison cut him off. I've read the psychiatric evaluations. I've considered your claims of mental illness, and I find them unconvincing. You were rational enough to plan, rational enough to execute, rational enough to flee the country and live well on your stolen money. That's not insanity. That's evil. Judge Morrison looked at her notes. On each count of child endangerment, I sentence you to 8 years. To run consecutively. That's 24 years. On the grand larceny charge, 10 years. Also consecutive. On the fraud charges, 5 years concurrent. Your total sentence is 34 years in state prison. You will be eligible for parole after serving 85% of that sentence. 34 years. Nicole would be 70 years old before she got out. Additionally, you are permanently barred from any contact with the victims. You will never see your children again. You will have no right to information about them, no right to photos, no right to letters. They are dead to you as you tried to make them dead, in fact. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. We are adjourned. Nicole was led away. This time she did look back. Her eyes found Marcus in the crowd, and for just a second he saw something there. Not remorse, not regret, but hatred. Pure unadulterated hatred. She blamed him. Somehow, impossibly, she blamed him for this. Marcus felt nothing but relief as she disappeared through the door. It was over. 6 months after the trial, Marcus bought a new house. Not in Scarsdale. Too many memories there. Instead, he found a place in Bedford, smaller than the old house. 4 bedrooms, a nice yard, a quiet street with families and kids riding bikes. The girls had continued therapy. Sophia was doing better. The nightmares had decreased to once or twice a week. She'd started smiling again, laughing, being a kid instead of a miniature adult carrying the weight of the world. Lily had stopped wetting the bed. She joined a dance class, made friends at school, started talking about sleepovers and birthday parties. Maya was still the quietest, still the most clingy, but she'd started to trust that Marcus wasn't going anywhere, that he'd be there when she woke up, when she came home from school. Always. Marcus had restructured his entire life, sold his stake in the real estate company, kept enough to consult part-time but gave up the CEO position. His new boss was a good man, understood about family, let Marcus work from home most days. Money was no longer the priority. Time was, presence was, being there for breakfast, for dinner, for homework and bedtime stories, and all the small moments that made up a childhood. One evening, Marcus was making dinner when Sophia came into the kitchen. Daddy, can I ask you something? Of course, baby. Do you think we'll ever be normal again? Like other families? Marcus turned off the stove, gave Sophia his full attention. What's normal? I don't know. Happy, I guess. Without all the bad stuff in our heads. Marcus knelt down, looked Sophia in the eye. I think we'll find our own kind of normal. It might not look like other families. We've been through something they haven't. But that doesn't mean we can't be happy, that we can't be a family. But we're broken. No, we're healing. There's a difference. Broken things stay broken. Healing things get stronger. Sophia thought about this. Like when I broke my arm and it healed and the doctor said that spot was actually stronger than before. Exactly like that. Okay, I can live with that. She hugged Marcus, tight, then ran off to play with her sisters. A year after the trial, Marcus started the foundation, Sophia's Hope, named after his daughter, his hero, the little girl who'd kept her sisters alive through sheer determination and love. The foundation focused on helping children who'd been abandoned, neglected, abused. It provided emergency housing, therapy, legal support, whatever kids and families needed to rebuild their lives. Marcus donated $2 million to start it. The amount Nicole had tried to steal. It felt right, taking something meant to destroy his family and using it to help others. But the foundation's first donor wasn't Marcus. It was someone else entirely. 3 weeks after Sophia's Hope opened its doors, an elderly Puerto Rican woman walked in. She carried a weathered envelope in her hands. Mrs. Maria Rodriguez, the woman who'd given 3 scared little girls food and shelter when no one else would. The woman who'd offered them one night of safety in a world that had become terrifyingly unsafe. She found Marcus in his office. Mr. Reed? Marcus looked up. Didn't recognize her at first. Then it clicked. Mrs. Rodriguez, from the Bronx, you helped my daughters. Maria nodded, held out the envelope with both hands. I have been saving for my granddaughter's quinceañera, but I read about your foundation in the newspaper, about helping children like your daughters, like so many children in my neighborhood. I want to give this. Marcus opened the envelope. Inside was $3,000 in cash, small bills, worn, money that had been saved over years, dollar by dollar. Mrs. Rodriguez, I can't accept this. You need this for your granddaughter. My granddaughter, she understands. She said to me, Abuela, those children need it more than I need a big party. She is a good girl. She has a good heart. Maria pressed the envelope into Marcus's hands. Her eyes were wet. Your daughters, they were so scared that night. The little one, Sophia, she was trying so hard to be brave, to protect her sisters. I see that same fear in so many children in my neighborhood. If this money can help even one child feel safe, then it is worth more than any party. Marcus felt tears burning his eyes. He took the envelope, then pulled out his checkbook. Mrs. Rodriguez, I'm going to accept your donation, and I'm going to match it, 100 to 1. That's $300,000 for the foundation. In your name, the Maria Rodriguez Emergency Fund. Maria gasped. Her hand flew to her mouth. But I also want to do something else. Marcus wrote another check, handed it to her. This is for your granddaughter's quinceañera, and for you, for your kindness, for your compassion, for saving my daughter's lives when you didn't have to. The check was for $50,000. Maria looked at it, then at Marcus, tears streaming down her weathered face. Mr. Reed, this is too much. It's not enough. You fed my children when they were starving. You gave them shelter when they had none. You showed them kindness when the world had been cruel. How do you put a price on that? Marcus stood up, walked around the desk, hugged Mrs. Rodriguez gently. Thank you. Thank you for being there when they needed someone. Thank you for being the kind of person who helps instead of looking away. From that day forward, Mrs. Rodriguez became part of the foundation. She visited every week, brought home cooked meals for the children staying there, told them stories in Spanish and English, held them when they cried, sang them lullabies. She became abuela to dozens of abandoned children, the grandmother they'd never had, the safe harbor in their storm. And every year on the anniversary of the day she'd helped 3 scared little girls, Marcus made another donation to the Maria Rodriguez Emergency Fund, $100,000 every year. Without fail, it was the least he could do for the woman who'd saved his daughter's lives. Sophia asked to be involved. She was 8 now, still young, but she wanted to help other kids who'd been through what she had. So Marcus took her to the foundation's headquarters. Let her meet some of the children staying there. Let her tell her story. A little girl named Emma, 6 years old. Her mother had left her at a bus station, told her to wait, never came back. Sophia sat with Emma, held her hand. I know you're scared. I was scared too, but you're safe now, and it gets better. I promise it gets better. Emma looked up at Sophia with worshipful eyes. How did you stop being scared? I didn't, not all the way. I still get scared sometimes. But I have my dad and my sisters and people who love me, and that makes the scared feeling smaller. Do you think anyone will love me? Sophia squeezed her hand. I already do. Marcus watched from the doorway, pride swelling in his chest. His daughter, his brave, beautiful, compassionate daughter, taking her pain and using it to help others. That evening, as Marcus tucked Sophia into bed, she asked him a question. Daddy, do you think Mommy ever thinks about us? Marcus paused, considered lying, saying something comforting. But Sophia deserved honesty. I don't know, baby. I hope she does. I hope she realizes what she lost. But even if she doesn't, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change how amazing you are, how loved you are. I don't miss her. Is that bad? No, that's not bad at all. Sometimes I try to remember good things, like her reading to us or playing with us, but I can't. All I remember is the bad stuff. Maybe someday the good memories will come back, or maybe they won't. Either way is okay. Sophia nodded, closed her eyes. Daddy, will you sing to me? Marcus smiled, started singing the lullaby he'd sung to her since she was a baby. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. Sophia's breathing evened out, sleep taking her. Marcus sat there for a while longer, watching his daughter sleep, thinking about everything they'd been through, everything they'd survived. 3 years ago, he'd been a different person, obsessed with work, with success, with building an empire. He'd thought that was what mattered, what would make him happy, make his family proud. But he'd been wrong, so catastrophically wrong. The only thing that mattered was right here, in this room, and down the hall where Lily and Maya slept in their shared room, surrounded by stuffed animals and nightlights and all the comforts of childhood. His girls, his world, his everything. Marcus stood, kissed Sophia's forehead, left the door cracked so light from the hallway could spill in. He checked on Lily and Maya, both sleeping peacefully, Lily clutching her favorite doll, Maya curled around her stuffed elephant. Safe, loved, home. Downstairs, Marcus poured himself a drink, stood at the kitchen window, looked out at the backyard. The swing set he'd built, the garden Sophia had planted, the sandbox where Lily and Maya spent hours building castles. A normal house, a normal life, or as normal as they could manage given everything. His phone buzzed, a text from Detective Santos. They'd stayed in touch. She'd been invested in the case, in the girls, wanted to know they were okay. The text was simple, just a photo, Nicole in her prison uniform, looking older, harder, a caption underneath. Thought you'd want to see this. She's been denied parole, again. Won't be eligible for another 5 years. Marcus stared at the photo, tried to feel something. Anger, satisfaction, relief, but there was nothing. Nicole was a ghost from another life. She couldn't hurt them anymore. He deleted the photo, put the phone down. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. A beautiful ending to a beautiful day. Tomorrow he'd make pancakes for breakfast, drive the girls to school, work from home for a few hours, pick them up, help with homework, make dinner, read stories, tuck them in, the same routine they'd followed for 3 years now. The routine that had become their new normal. And it was enough, more than enough. Marcus finished his drink, turned off the lights, headed upstairs to his own room. As he passed the girls' rooms, he heard Lily talking in her sleep. Love you, Daddy. 3 words, simple words, words he heard every day, but they never failed to make his heart swell, to remind him of what really mattered. Marcus whispered back even though she couldn't hear him. Love you too, baby. Always. He climbed into bed, closed his eyes, and for the first time in 3 years he slept without nightmares, without fear, without regret, just peace. Finally, peace, the end.